Hello, everybody. This is Robert Price coming to you live here on Thursday at 5:30 Eastern Time. As we do this, we're just going to continue to meet, continue to show up for you here, uh, and these, as I have shared each week, is that specifically for our group in Facebook, this is an opportunity for them to kind of grab and come together and be able to share some questions that they may have or comments that they may have from some of the posts that are in there this week. And so that way we have opportunities to kind of walk through some of those things. And I'm just really blessed to be able to just be available to you all. And again, for those of you who are joining on Instagram, thanks so much for doing that. I really appreciate you being there. And what for my Instagram fam, one of the things that you will have not have access to is the recordings of these. But if you are part of the Facebook group, then you will be able to see these recordings as well. But if you are on Instagram and you're watching this live on Instagram, in my bio link is the link to get into the group. Um, and that's an opportunity for you to just kind of dig into more things, more details. There's certain offers specifically that will be asked and offered inside the group alone. So that way it will give people that are in the group, um, access to things that others do not have access to. So I'm excited about you all that are live now in the group, um, and checking this out. So I will give people just a few more moments to hop in and give them a chance to find their way, whether it's through the link that is provided within the group or actually on the page itself. I am live inside of Facebook. So just make sure that it is where it needs to be. Perfect. All right. I do believe I see it in there. All right. Cool. All right, so here we go. What I wanted to chat a little bit about this evening really is the we've been talking about this tournament, getting prepared for a tournament. What type of yardage books? Obviously, are we using those? Are we actually? How are we preparing? And one of the posts inside of the group literally was a poll that I put in there that talked about and highlighted a few options, and I'll go back to those. It was one was to when we're talking about practice rounds, but we were talking about creating a strategy to stay out of trouble if we're using our practice round in that way. If we are just trying to figure out what we're going to hit off of the tee, that's another option that people do. Just solely that. And then the third option was to develop a greens book or a yardage book to see how my shots are received on and around the green, and that actually got the most votes for that post. And so I really wanted to kind of walk through this a little bit, um, and just kind of speak about it because I think it's important, especially for those who are paying attention and listening, and who have younger junior golfers maybe getting ready to become more elite in what they do. But what I even shared in the post was that a practice round for an elite golfer is never about a score. We don't go do a practice round and keep score. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. Partly because you might hit two balls off of the tee, you might hit a couple of balls in the fairway. So there really is no true way to keep score. I know sometimes people were like, "Well, on my ball, my first ball or my original ball, I was tracking that ball, and then I hit some other balls." Well, then that's not how we score. But one of the things I really want to make sure is that people recognize that the practice round is never a place for us to keep score. If we're practicing yes, that could be a place for us to keep score, depending on what we're doing or what kind of game we're playing. But definitely while we're in a practice round, we are specifically in the practice round to learn about the golf course. If you're purchasing a greens book or if you're making one on your own, there are a few things that I had written in a post that I want to share or go even into more detail. The first was the course walkthrough. During the practice rounds, we want to walk the greens, we want to take some notes, we want to look at the slopes and the breaks and the green, things that are important, contours of the greens. And sometimes in a yardage book, you'll have some of those details. That's the benefit of buying one of those. Then we just want to start recording the observations that we have. Well, what does that mean? Well, we start writing in the book. We talk about green speeds. We talk about spin. You know, how is the ball being received on the green, like from a wedge shot or a long iron. Like we're really trying to just dial in, figure out what we're doing, because that information is going to absolutely help your decision making during your play, especially in a tournament. So if you're able to kind of hop out in front of that, you're ready to go. Then the next piece was pin positions. So depending on the events that you all play, I mean, many of the events that we play here, you'll get maybe the day or two beforehand the pin positions for day one, day two, day three, if you're playing a 3-day, or even day four if you're doing a 4-day event. This is important, and so we really want to make sure that we know what the pin positions are going to be, which will absolutely help your putting strategy, because this is where you're going to place the tee on the green, and you're going to hit some putts from up the hill, down the hill, right of that, left of that, looking at the location, maybe how you're going to be attacking that particular flag or place on the green, wondering when looking at where is the middle of the green a good opportunity for me to get a two putt or a one putt. So paying attention to those pin positions, super important. Obviously, writing them in your green book, day one, day two, day three, coming up with some maybe coloring system or coding system, A, B, C, whatever it will work for you. But we need to have that. That's like almost the crucial space that we want to really begin learning how to do, making sure that we're doing it in the way that makes good sense for us, because that is how we will start really becoming and getting ourselves in a position for who we are and what we're trying to accomplish while we're out there in the tournament itself. So um, please just keep that in mind. That's super important. The next thing is just I talk about this because this is a unique space. But when you're doing your practice round and even during the round itself, is that we should be updating our book. We should be finding some new observations or new experiences during the round, particularly in the practice round, and definitely during the round itself, especially if it's a multiple day tournament. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to refine what you're doing, and then it remains a reliable tool for you while your round is actually evolving. I know this is a place, what I say when I get to even a much more experienced golfer, what ends up happening is that becomes something for them to really begin to understand how to do that while staying in the moment, being present, and doing the things that we need to do. So those are some really important facts, some things that we, are truly important for you out there who are listening, those who are on the gram. It's good seeing you guys out there. So just making sure that folks are understanding, like there is this, there has to be some strategy, something intentional, something deliberate that we have to do when we're preparing ourselves for these events. If we are preparing ourselves for these events in the way in which is going to be most beneficial for you, then we have to start looking at how we go about doing this, the why behind why Okay. Just in case that is, we should have it working now. Perfect. Um, so hopefully you're able to catch that too, by the way. Thank you for letting me know that. So as I was sharing, and I'll repeat that just in case you're unable to hear that. So that way you're tracking. So thank you for hopping in too, by the way. So one of the things again that we're really looking at and trying to help these athletes is this: is we're really trying to figure out the best way for them to be consistently great at what they do, so that way we can start building the confidence in a manner that makes sense for them, right? So we know that confidence is something, I call it, that comes and goes, but we know that if we're able to start building it in a way or in a manner that's going to allow them the best opportunity, then what we start to do is this: we start to actually create in everything that we do ways in which we are building confidence. So now what we're able to do, I'm glad that you're hearing. So now what we're able to do once we begin that process, once we start to understand that, now we know that we have to be deliberate and intentional in everything that we do. The practice rounds are no different, right? So in those, we have to make sure that there are certain process goals, certain small steps that we're trying to accomplish. And as I have shared, one of those things is it's so important, because if we are not tracking what we're out there to do, the practice round, again, we're not keeping score. uh, Please have sometimes that, oh, I shot so and such and such in my practice round, and then in the event I was able to do that and not do this. So the main thing is this: when we're developing, while we're having that practice round, when we're writing, we're developing our green book, our yardage book, we're trying to do some of these main pieces. As I have shared, we have this course walkthrough. One of the things in the course walkthroughs, right, is we're observing slopes, breaks, grain, direction on the greens, but we're also looking for places on the golf course, for an example, that are not in our yardage book. You know, like sometimes there's overgrown trees, sometimes there's areas on the golf course where it is now red stakes versus it may have been white stakes at some point. Um, and we're trying to just track and notate those things while we're out there walking. The next thing is, obviously, there's observations that we need to do. What is it that we're looking at? What we're looking at is the ball that is being hit with a wedge. What's the reaction on the green? What is our long irons doing on the green? Really important information, so that way you can actually start to see, so that way during your play you'll be able to make better decisions. It's just data for you. Then, obviously, I mentioned, I spent a little time on this, but the pin positions that are given to you pre-tournament are so important, because now you're able to put down the tee and actually putt from the right side, the left side, front and back of that particular hole location for day one, and then obviously replicating that for day two on that green as well. It is a practice round, so you have to be thinking about, I'm not trying to be out here for 18 hours. I'm just out here in a normal course of a round, 4.5 hours, 4 hours, as you're continuing to move along the golf course. You're going to maybe hit a tee ball, a couple of tee shots, maybe throw a couple of, not hit a tee ball in this hole. It looks pretty straightforward. Go out to in the area in the fairway, and then approach the green maybe with a short iron. See see what's happening. See how it's responding. And then maybe hitting a long irons to certain holes, so that way you can see how that is responding. So these are things that are very intentional, very deliberate, that will start allowing especially that junior golfer to really start to build the confidence that they need in order for them to be successful. One of the cool things about just the work that I get to do is this: I've been inside of the ropes, helping and watching and walking with my professionals who do this work. Yes, they have a caddy, but they're also talking with their caddy around these types of things. And the other cool thing is, I also have shared, is that our books should be they shouldn't be just, I call it, rigid. Okay. There should be you should be able to make some adjustments as necessary throughout your round. Maybe you're playing and it's wet, and your practice round it was dry. Maybe you're playing, there's now wind in your round. You didn't have that the day before. So just notating some things, being a little bit of having a little bit of flexibility is going to help you and help you go a long way in understanding what is the purpose of the practice round? Why are we using it? What's the important pieces that we need to be writing in our greens book or our yardage book? If we're creating one, if we're buying one, however it looks, we still should be able to put and write in our own notes on our practice books. I mean, I'm sure many of you who out there who have played competitive golf absolutely has had the opportunity just online to go look and see what a yardage book looks like for a professional golfer. And again, they're spending hours going to a particular event. They're playing practice rounds. They're also going back there multiple times throughout the year. So they're spending a lot of energy and effort to make sure that the things that they have written in a book will come to play and help them. So one of the things I want us to be able to do is obviously steal from that information, because that's so vital and important to us. Is that how do we do that in one practice round when we got one opportunity to play a course maybe we've never played, or maybe we've played it before in the past, but now a year later you're hitting the ball further, and you have different approach angles and shots to the greens, and so there's certain decisions that you're going to make off the tee that are going to be different from the year before. So again, making sure and understanding when we have our practice round, there has to, it cannot just be I'm out here to play the golf course and see how I do. We have to have some level of intentionality, something very deliberate. Again, this is where those process goals that I've always talked about, that's so important. That's what we're out there to do while we're playing, is to have the right process goals in place for us. So that way, when we're out there knowing what it is that we need to do, we're going to be able to be successful at our rounds that we're getting ready to participate in. So if there's anyone that's out there that has a couple of questions, I'm looking at some of the folks that I have here on YouTube as well, Instagram. Again, it's good to see you all out there. Thanks for joining in there. If you have any questions, you can definitely throw it in the DM in the comments there. I will be more than willing to answer a few questions. Awesome. Cool. All right. So if you're out there and you again are on Instagram and you're hopping in there for the first time seeing this live, I'll go live for other things on the gram just in general. But on Thursdays at 5:30 when I'm live on Instagram, this is a recorded session, and it goes inside of the Facebook group. There's a private Facebook group that's free to hop into. You can find that link again in the bio for those of you who are on YouTube as well. If you want to hop into the Facebook group, you can absolutely do so. And then obviously my friends and family within the group, it's always a pleasure to have you guys in there. If you don't have any questions, I will still be holding on as well. So I have one here asking about the playbook specific. And I'll just throw it in here. So Cornelius, it's a great question. Easy answer. What we can do for getting you started with the playbook is that just requires you and I getting on the telephone a little bit and just kind of walking through that space. So we can set up some time to do so. And I can shoot you an email and we can just find the time that we need, 15 minutes or so, to kind of walk through how the playbook is set up, laid out specifically, and talk about pricing as well. So as early as I think, we get this, question often is, when do I start working with a junior golfer? So a junior golfer specifically is when the parent thinks they're ready, but more importantly, when they're playing tournaments that have significance. So I usually look at that sometimes. You can be as young as 8, 9, 10 years old and receive great benefit from this. So there's kids I work with as young as 8, 9, 10. We work for 3 to 6 months. We leave one another. We come back again, maybe some other period or adjustment time, maybe middle school golf, and then transitioning into high school golf specifically, just to continue to work with them. So as early as 8, 9, 10 is usually the age range, and then from there we're looking at the type of events or tournaments that they're playing into that will give me some better understanding about the content and what's best for them, how we're going to work together as parent and athlete. So one of the things that people will learn about me specifically with the mental playbook and how I even operate is parents are part of that. They will have access to it. And then the parent and I will be chatting and talking along the way, as well as the junior golfer doing the work that they need to do and working with me individually as well. So great question. All right. All right. Thank you so much. And I always want to be mindful of our time and folks who hop in here. 30 minutes of time has already gone by so quickly, but sorry again if there were some audio issues earlier. When this is recorded, it will be the audio will be should be fine in that space. But again, for those of my Instagram fam, just make sure that if you want to, please look in the link in the bio. Because there is the way in which you can get access to the recording of these as well. So that is the place for you. For those of you who are on YouTube, I appreciate you guys hopping in there today. And then for those obviously who are inside of the Facebook group, thank you so much for hopping in there as well. So again, we do this every Thursday at 5:30. Whether I'll be on the road, some of these you'll see as we hop into summer and junior golf season time. So again, I have 4 kiddos, 3 of them golf, 2 of them play competitively, and 1 is entering her senior year. So this is her junior summer, I guess we call it, but heading into her senior year. So that's all very exciting in my own personal space. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys and continuing to just do the things that we do. So keep that in mind as you guys get ready to go out there this weekend and hopefully have some practice rounds. Hopefully you'll take some of this information and help your kid create a better yardage book or better practice round specifically for them. So that way you start to see lower scores in those tournament rounds where the pressure gets ratcheted up a little bit. So anything that we can do to relieve ourselves of any anxiety, that is what my job is to make sure that we do that. So we're actually emotionally and mentally tough. This is Robert Price, owner of Elite Minds. Appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me. Again, I look forward to seeing you inside of the Facebook group. Take care and have a great evening.